Hello, welcome to my channel, Another Bibliophile Reads. My name is Greg, and I am here to do the Books and Life tag, and that was created by Steve Donahue. Everyone in this corner of booktube knows Steve Donahue. This prompt has 11 questions. Prompt number 1. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being a normal person and 10 being the late Harold Bloom, how much are books and reading a part of your life? That's an odd scale. I know when Steve Donahue did his, he said he was a 9 out of 10 because that 10th was reserved for his dog Frida. In reality, I think there are a lot of other things that take up time. I have 2 cats at this time. I used to have a dog. And when I finish moving, I will get another dog. So I'll have 2 cats and a dog and a wife. That's going to take up at least more than one. So I'm saying it's going to be a 7 or an 8. And just all the other things of life that take up your time. However, I'm not sure that is a very good scale because everyone has something in their life that's going to take time and attention away from books and reading. Now, what I've never mentioned before is that in order to read as much as I do, I have jettisoned a lot of other forms of, let's say, entertainment or hobbies. When I was younger and lived near Washington, D.C., I was a subscriber to the Shakespeare Theater, and I went to a few plays every year. I subscribed to the National Symphony Orchestra and went to a lot of musical concerts. But now that I've moved away from there and I married, and my wife does not like to live near the cities, she likes to live in the far suburbs, those forms of entertainment are much harder to do because I don't want to drive an hour into Seattle to go see a play or to go see a movie or a concert. I have also pretty much given up watching television and movies. I gave up watching movies quite a few years ago just because every time you went to see a movie, I was just incredibly disappointed with the standard and the stories that come out of Hollywood. They're just not worth my time for the most part. Now, it is technically possible to produce and make a good movie. It's just not happening very often. And I could, of course, watch Netflix or other streaming movies. Many years ago, before streaming was popular, I did subscribe to Netflix, and you got the 4 or 5 CDs every month, and I used to watch more movies back then. But again, the more movies I watched, the less I was impressed by them. And so I basically stopped. In 2019, I saw one movie over Christmas because my wife does like to go see movies on Christmas Day. I saw Knives Out. And then in 2020, I don't think I saw any movie. No, she did have me watch a streaming movie, Ad Astra, which is a science fiction movie, which was entirely lame and not worth the time. So all the time most people would spend watching TV or watching movies, I can devote to reading and books. I would, in theory, love to go see more musical concerts and plays, and of course that would take time away from reading, but as of now, that's not a huge option for me. So in reality, when you jettison all the other requirements of life, my devotion to books probably goes up to a 9 again, or maybe even a 10, because I just don't do many of the other things that people could do. I don't play board games. I do go for walks, but I'm listening to an audiobook when I'm going for a walk. Prompt number 2. Where does your personal library stand now in relation to the rest of your life? Do you have more books now than you ever had, or fewer? I am not at my maximum capacity right now. A number of years ago, my wife and I were seriously thinking of downsizing in our previous home, and I unloaded a ton of books, probably 400 or 500 books. And I unloaded. Now, most of those were just crappy paperbacks, mass markets of popular fiction. So my library has shrunk. Um, it's and I don't buy a lot of physical books nowadays. Most of the books that I buy are ebooks. So my library is not as, like I said, not as big as it was, um, but it's pretty big. I probably have just under 2,000 books, which in the rest of the world is probably ginormous. You can see behind me a huge wall of books, and that's pretty impressive, I think. Number 3, take a mental step back and ask yourself, what is the most likely first impression a newcomer would have in your home? If they walked into my library, they'd say, that's a shit ton of books that I've got there. And they always ask, have you read them all? And I always go, well, I try to read them all, but I buy books to have them in reserve for that rainy day. And that if you want something, it's always going to be there for you. I sort of liked the Umberto Eco theory of books, and apparently he had a book collection in the 20,000s or larger. And his idea was, I just want it there if I ever consider possibly reading it. And why I certainly will not have enough space for 20,000 books. That's sort of a nice little dream. Question number 4. How often, if ever, gulp, do you clean or reorganize your books? I do dust once a year, twice a year. I do reorganize occasionally. Just recently, if you look in the back, I have bought bookends to hold my books very tight to the shelves. And I did that because my house is going to be going up for sale this week. And I wanted to make sure that anyone or potential buyer who walked into this house would see a very tight and well organized bookshelf. And in theory, that would just tell them that this house is well kept. And I actually like this look a lot better. If you see some older videos, you can see that some of the books on the ends sort of lean. And I like that nice tight look that it has right now. So I'm definitely going to be keeping these bookends when I move at the end of next month. Prompt number 5. On average, how many books do you acquire in a given week? Now, I'm going to include ebooks, audiobooks, and physical books. I don't buy a lot of physical books nowadays. One of the main reasons is that where I live, they're just not very good bookstores. We have a Barnes & Noble about 25 minutes away, but there's nothing really of interest in a Barnes & Noble shelf because they have to cater to the very popular, and they have limited space. Now, I've probably mentioned it before, there's a very good bookstore up in Seattle, Elliott Bay Books, and they have a wonderful literature section where you will find something of interest if you have an inquiring mind into fiction and literature. For audiobooks, I subscribe to Audio Premium. I buy 24 Audible books once a year. It's a reoccurring subscription every year in October. I just renew, and they give me 24 credits, and I have 1 year to spend those credits. In theory, I try to limit my purchases to 2 books on the audio per year.
I don't understand.
I'm sorry, 2 books per month, but that often fluctuates because they will offer sales and discounts. Like a few months ago, they said if you spend 6 credits at once, they will give you $20 in credit to spend on other Audible books. And I, of course, took them up on that offer, so I bought 6 on credit, and then they gave me the $20, and I was able to use that $20 to purchase 2 more Audible books. For ebooks, I do use Amazon, and I do look at their sales pretty much daily. I have a huge wish list, and I go through that and see what's on sale, because if they put an ebook on sale for $1.99 or $2.99, I'm pretty much just going to buy it on a whim and not worry if I ever have the time to pick up that book and read it, because it's only $1.99. It's like when you worked in an office and you wanted to go down and buy some soda in the vending machine, that cost $2. So I do that a lot. I used to buy at least one, maybe two ebooks per week. The physical books are a lot rarer, probably less than 12 per year. However, I do like specials. The New York Review of Books comes out with specials about once or twice a year, where if you buy more than 4 books, they will give you a 40% discount off each book. And I always take them up on that offer. I just did that this week. I have 4 new New York Review Classics books in the mail coming to me, and I will probably do an unhauling video on those when they arrive. Question number 6. What is your current earworm? Now, we've just gotten off the 4th of July holiday, and in this section of Western Washington where I live, the neighbors just go ape shit and lighting off fireworks almost non-stop from dusk till midnight, and it is heinous and annoying. So my earworm was something I came up with a little bit of revenge. I wanted to blast a piece of music so all those people could have to hear this music. And the music I wanted to blast was Verdi's Dies Irae from his Requiem. So and that is possibly some of the loudest music. Oh, what's it playing? There it is. This is my earworm right now. And I would have loved to force all my neighbors to have to listen to this while they were setting off their fireworks. All right. I don't want to get caught with a copyright violation for playing too much music. So that's what's going on in my mind for the music. Question number 7. What percentage of your self-control do you retain in a well-stocked bookstore? I'm usually pretty good in a bookstore because I am looking for physical copies of books that are not available in ebook. And for the most part, most books nowadays are available in ebook, so I don't have to buy a lot of physical copies. Now, I do buy physical copies, even if they are available in ebooks, just because I like having my books around. But if I were to go into a bookstore, a new bookstore like Elliott Bay Books, I could probably restrain myself to 2 or 3 books, just because I can do that. So pretty good self-control. Number 8, do you ever feel the need to take a break from books? If so, what form does it take? Well, right now I'm sort of having an involuntary break from books because I am buying a new house in Virginia and I'm selling my house here in Washington, and that is just taking enormous amounts of my time. I spent about 5 hours this weekend cleaning out my garage, taking 4 carloads to Goodwill and 1 carload to the dump. And that just takes so much time that at the end of the day, I was tired and I really wasn't doing much reading. Now, once this move is done, I predict my little enforced break from books will end and I can go back to reading. Prompt number 8. When you meet a new person, how long does it take you to bring up books? I don't meet a lot of new people. I think, especially during this pandemic, I think this has been mentioned before by a lot of people. Just don't meet a lot of new ones. When I do meet new people, I usually try to scope them out and see if they're readers or not. I think Steve Donahue mentioned, and I totally agree, most people are not readers. I did go to dinner with some old neighbors, my old neighborhood, And the husband, basically, he never reads. The wife did read some, but she was more of a Debbie Maycumber kind of reader. So even though she did read, we would not have a lot of common ground to talk about. And one of the reasons I joined BookTube was I wanted people to talk about books. I want to say, what are you reading? This is what I'm reading, and just have a conversation. It'd be real nice to have that in real life. I'm not holding up too much of a chance. This weekend I am going to Portland because my house is going to be officially up for sale and people are going to be tramping through it. My wife and I decided we just want to be away from the house when that's happening. So I'm going to Portland. And I'm actually going to meet Alan, Big Hard Books and Classes, at Pal's Bookstore on Friday. So I will get to meet at least one person who likes books. And I guess it's a new person. I've never met him before, although I've seen enough of his videos that I think I know him pretty well. Number 10. Have you ever given thought, made provisions for your personal library after you croak? I remember having this conversation with someone 10, 15 years ago because I don't have kids. And when I bite the bus, buy the farm, kick the bucket, whatever you want to say, I don't know what's going to happen to my books. If my wife survives me, she's probably going to sell them because she's never going to want to pick up any of my books. I know she picked up one of the books by one of my favorite authors, William T. Vollmann, and she read the first few pages and she says, this book is not for me. So my books will be sold. I know that when I talked to someone a few years ago, he mentioned that I should find someone to donate to. Search around the internet, write letters, find a young student who might be thrilled to have my books. And maybe I will do that. I still got another 20 years if things hold out, and after that, find someone to donate my library to. I could see a future student of literature being happy to get a whole big collection of 2,000 books. We'll see. I don't know. In reality, what Steve Donahue says, it's going to be sold to whatever used bookstores are nearby. Maybe someone will hit the dump. Too bad, but I'll be dead. And I won't care. Prompt number 11. Are you known among your friends and loved ones for your weird and possibly unhealthy relationship with books? Yes. My wife teases me about it. When we visited her sister and her boyfriend in Virginia, they have absolutely no books in that house. And neither of them had any interest in reading. But her sister knows, oh, Greg, he's up reading on his Kindle because they were downstairs watching the Tour de France. So they know I'm kind of odd, and they just know that if we're ever in some kind of gathering in a home and there's a social event downstairs, I may join in for a while, but most likely I'm going to go up and read my books alone. So yeah, they know I'm kind of weird. And that is the end of this tag. Thank you for watching, and have a good night. Goodbye.